Yeah, these two changes are going to fundamentally change how the meta is. This change, maybe not so much, but it's going to get rid of some of the cards. I haven't actually read them, but seeing that these two cards are being targeted is huge. This card is going to fundamentally change the meta, like ridiculous amount. This is just a nice quality of life change, and honestly, I'm a lot more okay with Tempo Mage than I am with Turtle Mage. At least Tempo Mage, with the randomly generated stuff, there's some skill oriented to it, and you have to figure out a way to piece it all together. So let's just discuss this real quick. So the old battle cry was discover a copy of a spell in your deck and cast it with random targets. Now it's the new battle cry is discover a spell in your deck and cast it with random targets. Oh, it says discover a spell, not a copy of the spell. Wait, that's huge. That's huge. That means you can't go infinite. Turtle Mage is just dead. Turtle Mage is done. Turtle Mage is actually just done. Thank God. Thank goodness. Okay, so Turtle Mage is gone. This nerf actually just entirely decimated it. That's crazy. That's so good for, like, the entire community. Blizzard actually listened? That's nuts. Sorcerer's Apprentice is still a problem, but, like, you could argue Evocation's worse. But this is really nice. Thank you so much, Blizzard. And then Guardian Animals from 7 to 8. Dude, literally, this hurts Guardian Animals a lot more than I think making it Taunt did. Or would have. Like, this is going to slow down Druids enough to where they're probably going to lose to most aggro matchups. And also not be fast enough to beat slower matchups. I think that more of the, like, getting the pressure on the board with, like, taunts or something, or some extra ability other than rush, so it's also removal, would have made it a lot more viable. I don't like this just easy out. Yeah, let's just add a mana cost to it. Am I happy that it's being nerfed? Absolutely. 100%. What the heck? Blizzard's actually listening to the players? What will happen now? What's going to happen now is essentially aggro decks are going to become a lot more popular again, because Turtle Mage used to be able to deal with them relatively well, and the only way you could beat them is with, like, other OTKs and combos. And the fact that Druid slowed down means that a lot of other aggro decks are going to come back. Like, probably Stealth Rogue, Weapon Rogue, Phase Hunter's not really coming back, Aggro Demon Hunter. All these things for the first, like, couple of days, probably I predict are going to come back. And then after a while, people are going to start playing more control-y decks in order to beat them. And then it's going to stabilize, and there's just going to be a new deck everybody hates. But for the short term, it's going to be aggro, and then people are going to learn to beat the aggro, and then aggro's going to drop off, and then it's going to, like, balance out a little bit near the end as people optimize their decks, because Druid's really no longer playable. People have been complaining about Guardian Animals since day one, pros and average players alike. This is true. No, I'm glad, don't get me wrong, I'm glad it's being nerfed. I just think that the nerf, I just would have liked to have seen a nerf in a different style. I don't hate nerfs where you just add a mana cost. I think that they're very viable nerfs, and a lot of the time they'll solve the issue of, like, the speed of a card or anything like that. But I feel like it's just an easy way to nerf it, when they could have done something like just give them taunt or something so they're not also removal, but it still gets some pressure on the board so they don't lose to aggro. Because having an extra turn as an aggro deck into Druid, the Druid's gonna lose almost every single time. If the matchup was already, like, 50-50 roughly, because I'm about 50-50 against Druid, and I play a lot of aggro decks. I play a lot of every kind of deck, but I'm about 50-50 across the board. If it was about 50-50 now, with the increased speed of Guardian Animals, the slower speed's gonna just be bad. Like, it's not gonna be playable at all. They basically just killed the card. I don't think it's gonna see very much play at all. Now it's gonna be Gibberling Druid as the only viable aggro deck, or only viable Druid deck. I mean, I hope not. That deck's, it's honestly an awful deck, but maybe. And then all the rest of the changes are Battlegrounds, by the way, so I'm not really gonna look at that. These are really the only two things that I'm gonna talk about. And this, absolutely phenomenal. This is actually the nerf everybody wanted from the very beginning. Just don't allow you to cast copies and go infinite. Basically, just make it so you have to cast a spell from your deck. There are other cards that already did roughly the same thing that would just cast a card from your deck, like the Allura, the Priest Paladin card, and Guardian Animals increasing a mana cost is good, but I think it kills the card, which I don't think is great. I mean, it's still gonna be a good card, don't get me wrong, but it's just gonna get abused by aggro a lot more heavily now. Druid is going to have to run Emerald Dragon with the taunt now. No, yeah, actually, I could see this being potentially decent in, like, a dragon slash beast, big beast kind of build where you have some dragons and stuff for, like, turn 6. So you can get a 4-8 taunt and buy yourself a turn or two so you can play Guardian Animals a turn later. Like, I definitely think this could be good. Instead of, like, Wild Growth, probably run Breath of Dreams for ramp instead with some extra dragons and whatnot. Like the 3-6 dragon. And potentially Nature Studies or Innervate slash Lightning Bloom as cheap triggers to give yourself a 4-6 taunt turn 4-5. Like, there are a lot of things that can be done, in my opinion, that will make the deck still viable. I just don't think that this card is going to be the main win condition of Druid anymore. And either things are going to have to drastically change for Druid, or Druid's just not going to see any more play. Which I don't mind at all, honestly. I think that this is that it's a good nerf. I liked it a lot.